Good morning, everyone. Amit, Sandy, I see everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Love. Here, I'll ring the love bell. Hi, Dr.
Good morning. Good
morning. Let me read the beautiful schedule. Here, let me share it. 1 second. Oops. Not this one. Here's the beautiful schedule with flowers surrounding Master. It's like an arch of flowers surrounding Master. So beautiful. We have starting Shabd by Pradeep and Navneet. And the title, with each and every breath, meditate upon the Master. Looking forward. And then we have the spiritual radar by Dr. Chand, Shabd by Sunita. And then we have an introduction by me. And after that, we have a talk by Tina Dillon, our dear sister. And the subject is Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Then we're going to listen to our Holy Father Ishwar Puri Ji, and we're all going to melt in love. We're going to dance in his love. So I wish you a blessed, blessed, blessed satsang full of Ishwar's love, Baba Sawan Singh's love, and all the perfect masters' love. Okay, let's start with the Shabd. 1 second.
Hello everyone. Today we are going to sing Sasa Sasa Simra Gobind, and here it goes. Sasa Sasa Simra Gobind, मन अंतर की उतरे चिंत. सास सास सिमरो गोविंद, मन अंतर की उतरे चिंत. पूरे गुरु का सुन उपदेश, पूरे गुरु का सुन उपदेश. पार ब्रह्म ने निकट कर पेख, पार ब्रह्म निकट कर पेख. सास सास सिमरो गोविंद, मन अंतर की उतरे चिंत. सास सास सिमरो गोविंद, मन अंतर की उतरे चिंत. आस अनंत त्यागो तरंग, संत जना की दूर मन मंग. आस अनंत त्यागो तरंग, संत जना की दूर मन मंग. सास सास सिमरो गोविंद, मन अंतर की उतरे चिंत. सास सास सिमरो गोविंद, मन अंतर की उतरे चिंत. आप छोड़ बेनती करो, आप छोड़ बेनती करो. साध संग अगन सागर तरो, साध संग अगन सागर तरो. सास सास सिमरो गोविंद, मन अंतर की उतरे चिंत। सास सास सिमरो गोबिंद, मन अंतर की उतरे चिंत। हर तन के पर लियो पंडार, हर तन के पर लियो पंडार। नानक गुरु पूरे नमस्कार, नानक गुरु पूरे नमस्कार। सास सास सिमरो गोबिंद, मन अंतर की उतरे चिंत। सास सास सिमरो गोबिंद, मन अंतर की उतरे चिंत। सास सास सिमरो गोबिंद, मन अंतर की उतरे चिंत। Thank you for Seva.
Thank you so much for the beautiful shabd from Pardeep and Navneet. That was so beautiful, beautiful voice. Thank you for your seva. And now we have Dr. Chand with the spiritual radar.
Welcome, my dear. Thank you very much. So today Sunita may not be singing because she is busy in the seva. So I don't think she'll be able to come by then. In the meantime, I would like to talk on radar, the spiritual radar. And what this radar is telling today, that we must remain drenched in love and devotion. Now, how to really remain drenched all the time is a beautiful aspect to understand, because he was one and alone, and he was in bliss and felt like loving. So the creation started with the Almighty's love, and He loves us more than we love Him. I would like to say that He who loves you, that loves you more, whereas you reciprocate with your devotion. That's what it is. Now, how to be enlightened person in this world? As you know, the purpose of life is to love. And how to really love? What love is? And love, we could understand that love is caring. And how we should understand that this love which is caring, how we can feel that love, when we enter this world, we feel that love from the mother. And it is an unconditional love, which we get in abundance when we are born. And generally, after that, we start looking outwards, our attention goes to different things, and then we start forgetting that unconditional love, which we've been getting from our mother, and which is an epitome of the great masters, how they've been loving their disciples. So she loves him. And what really happens, what we got to learn in this enlightenment, that we must, rise in love. We should not fall in love. Falling is downwards and outwards into the world through the senses. So if we fall down, It goes into lust and sex, and then it is so temporary. And this is how we are falling into love, whereas we should rise in love. And rising in love is really so important. If you care, then you start rising. If you care, and if you understand that all these attributes of the mind which are dealing with the body needs, which I always say: lust, anger, ego, attachment, deceit, fears, and worries. So these things will bring the love, downward. So we fall in love is not good. We got to rise in love. And that is what is a beautiful area, that this attention which is going downwards and outwards into the world through the senses of the body, which are so temporary, temporary pleasures. If we start rising, then we are introduced to the permanent pleasures, They are sustainable once we rise in love. So always rising in love is the key. So the radar is telling us that we must rise in love. We should not fall in love. So that is what is the key. And it starts with caring at the physical level also, which we feel from the mother's love. And it is an unconditional love. So that is what it is. Now what we got to do? We got to look into that. Kabir says a beautiful line here. He says, Sir utare bhui dhare, tab paithe ghar mahi. You know, it is that you have to put your egos down onto the ground. Sir utare means this head, which is always, being held up high in ego. This head has to be finished. So, sir utare bhui dhare, tab paithe ghar mahi. Only then you can enter this house, the house of love. You can only enter once you dissolved your egos. That's what is the area of the radar, and it tells us that how to remain drenched in love is only, we must feel that thing. Of course, we got to start this love from the physical. First we get from the mother, and then once we get young, then we start looking that love, and we try to find it in the wife, in the girlfriend, and then we start looking for it. And gradually we know that it is all temporary. But then it starts with that feel. The body must be, how you can be drenched in love? Physically, mentally, and spiritually, you are already. So these two fellows, body and mind, got to come together with us. And we should have that feel, as it has been told, that how you can really overwhelm yourself with that love. Because if you see any soul here, and then all the souls are the same, my dear. They are part of your master. They are part of you. So, it is not your only family members. Everybody. So this love has to be there. And I feel that the radar today tells us to keep drenched in love at all the three levels: body, mind, and soul. Thank you very much. So this is the today's radar tells you to get drenched every time, because Michael plays this bell. He says, come on, let us be in love. Let us start loving. So this seva is so loving, and love is caring. That's right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Chan, so much for your beautiful words. And the most beautiful message is to be drenched in love. And every day I feel that we go deeper and deeper in love. And the more the knowledge dwells on us, the more the wisdom dwells on us, the more the love and the more the devotion, then that's what takes us deeper and deeper in love. It's all about the love and devotion, and that love and devotion has to increase, and it keeps increasing by regular practice and our regular attention on the master of the universe. Our love and
Michael,
devotion.
here I would like to add a line, that in love,
Love.
these trillions of cells in the body, they all get into one line. They don't think of anything else. All other senses get numbed once we are in love. So all trillions of cells are in one line, Your body, your mind, and the soul are in one line. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. When everything is in one line, that's nice. So yes, to be drenched in love is to know what we should ignore. The saints and masters say that to be fully drenched in love, we have to know what to ignore and what to concentrate on. And that brings us more and more into love. To just concentrate on love drenches us and takes us deeper, pulls us into the core of love. And we can ignore the rest. We can ignore the rest. The saints say that I am busy with thinking of my master, with doing the seva of my master. And I have no time for anything else. That is my job here in this world. My job in this world from A to Z is to grow spiritually, to awaken my soul to the highest awareness, awaken our soul to the highest awareness. These are the words of the saints, that if you have the human body, then your duty, our duty, is just to make it into God. And to do that, we have to ignore many things, and we have to concentrate on the main purpose of life, which is to become love and to dance in love and to know the ultimate wisdom. And the ultimate wisdom is in removing the veil and knowing what to ignore. Knowing what to ignore is the most beautiful thing, and it's the highest knowledge. And by ignoring the ignorant mind, by ignoring all its attributes, then we are directly, automatically focused on love. And when we are focusing on love, then we are creating heavens inside of us, that the human being can make or mar his career for eternity. That is what the saints and masters say, that it is from here is that we make ourselves. And we can make ourselves into something very, very beautiful. We can make ourselves into the top. We can make ourselves, whatever we concentrate, what you think, so shall you become, the saints say. And what we concentrate on, we become. And why not concentrate on the top of the mountain, on the primordial power that created this whole universe? And that is pure, absolute love, pure, absolute God, nothing less than that. Slowly, slowly, we become that. We become what we focus on. And for that, we also learn in this game of life how to avoid the pitfalls and how to keep walking towards love step after step after step. The saints and masters say that in order to find inner peace, we have to abandon the need to attract attention from others and the need to really prove ourselves to others. When we abandon those two needs, the need to attract the attention of others and the need to prove ourselves to others, then we can find peace. We can find peace within. All what we have to do is just focus on our seva and do it with selfless service. What others think of us does not matter. What others think of us does not matter. We don't need attention from others, and we don't need to prove ourselves to others. This is very, very, very important. Whoever perfects this finds inner peace. As really, really, most of our suffering in this world is because we try to evaluate, we try to concentrate, and we care about what others say, and we try to always prove ourselves. And that takes a lot of effort from us, and it takes our attention from God, and it brings the sadness to our heart. As no one in this world can be pleased. Not everybody in this world can be pleased by us. And all what we have to please is the Lord. And if the Lord is pleased with us, the whole universe, the whole creation is pleased with us. If God is smiling at us, the whole creation will be smiling at us, as He is everything. So this is very important to know. And this is, I read this in one of Rumi's poetry, this line, that to find inner peace, then we have to abandon the need to attract others and the need to prove ourselves to others. That means we just do our seva and please the Lord. We do our seva, we please the Lord, and then we hand our seva to the Master. We don't need to attract anyone, and we do not need to prove ourselves to anyone. In this way, we can find inner peace. We can find inner peace when we know that the Lord is pleased with us, that we are doing our best and leaving the rest. In doing our best and leaving the rest to Master, then the rest will be done by Master. We just have to do our best. We have to put the effort, and the effort becomes grace. And when the effort becomes grace, then we start to love everything that God created. And to love everything that God created, then all divisions will be erased. And when all divisions are erased between us and all the creation of Lord God, then we truly start to love every being. We truly start to love every being as we see it as oneness. Because when He graces us with true love, then all divisions are erased. And when all divisions are erased, we see the oneness and we start to love, unconditional love. And the saints and masters say, if you want to know anything or anyone in this world, you can only know them by loving them. That we can never know a person, and we can never know even an object or an animal except if we love them. If we don't love that person or that object, then our level of understanding matches our level of love. And if we're not loving them, then we will not understand them. The deeper we go into love, the deeper we go into understanding and wisdom, and the deeper we understand the rest of humanity and everything that is created by Lord God. In the beginning Shabd, it was saying that God is hidden in everything. He's hidden in the air, He's hidden in the waters, He's hidden in the trees, He's hidden in everything that He is created. And then Shabd reveals Him in everything. And when we are connected to Shabd, we are connected to love. When we are connected to love, then we awaken the love in everything that is created by Lord God, and we start to see God in everything and in everyone. We start to see God in everything and in everyone. And that secret is revealed by the Shabd. And that Shabd is the supply line that is inside of us. And when we are connected with that supply line of Shabd, then we will start to see God in everyone. And when we start to see God in everyone, then our love becomes slowly, 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 like Master loves creation. Our love starts slowly, slowly, slowly to become closer and nearer to the oneness of the love that God has for His creation, that the unconditional love that Master has for us and for everything that He created. Then we will start to slowly, slowly, slowly become like Master. And that is by focusing on love. And by focusing on love, we need to do our seva selflessly. As they say, in this world, people treat each other the way they are treated. In this world, people treat others the way they are treated. But in the spiritual way, love has no equal. Love does not ask for anything back. Love does not ask for anything back. But in our worldly relationships, or in this world, people treat each other the way they are treated. But love has a different law, and love just helps, does the service, and does not expect anything back in return. That's the beauty of love. That's the beauty of love. There is one poem from, where is that poem? There's one poem from Rumi that says, سلاما على أوليائك الذين رأوا جدار روحك يريد أن ينقض فأقاموه ولم يفكروا أن يتخذوا عليه أجرا. He's saying, my greetings, my salutations to those who saw the wall of your soul collapsing, and they came running and they put it up, and they did not even think of taking anything back in return. And this is true seva. True seva is when we help somebody's soul find God. If somebody's soul is lost and they are seeking, it is like having the wall of their soul tilted and collapsing, and someone comes and puts that wall up and does not ask anything back in return. That is true seva, that the lovers of God do the seva for their love for their God, for their master. And that is absolute love, is to do the seva, to do the selfless work for the master and not to expect anything back in return. Nothing whatsoever. Nothing whatsoever. By doing that, we grow in love. We grow in love. And by growing in love, we grow in wisdom. And by growing in wisdom, we know what to control in us that takes us away from wisdom. And the saints and masters say that an uncontrolled tongue spills out poison everywhere, an uncontrolled tongue. So the spiritual people, they start to control their tongue, because the saints say that the tongue is a two-sword edge that could create havoc, So when we grow in love, we try to control our tongue more and more and more, and not to use it to hurt anyone, That does not mean that we cannot say the truth to somebody we love in a loving way, if that will be for the benefit of their soul. It's okay to do that, but not to hurt anyone, as an uncontrolled tongue spills poisons everywhere. And the more we develop spiritually, then the more we keep silent. As they say, silent is golden. And the more we are silent, then the more we can listen with our soul. The more we are silent, not just outside, but also inside ourselves, then the more we can listen. And by listening, then we can listen to all the secret messages that come from silence. And those secret messages come from God to us in silence. When silence breaks, it becomes words, it becomes talk, it becomes music. So in silence is all language. Language resides in silence, as silence becomes words, and silence, which is messages from the inner master, and silence becomes music. And in that music, everything is contained. Everything is contained in the music of God, in the music of the spheres. When we listen to the Shabd, and the Shabd comes to us in the form of any type of music coming to us from absolute God that contains all messages, all messages. So yes, silence breaks into music, and music breaks into wisdom, and wisdom breaks into love, and love breaks into truth, and truth takes us back to its origin. And what's the origin of truth? That is love. That is the kingdom of God. That is the kingdom of love. The kingdom of love. And that kingdom of love is inside of us. And wow, if just the people of this world, if the people of this world just learn that their souls are much more important. Finding their souls is much more important than finding money, as everybody here in this world is running after money, and few know the value of their soul, and few do the seva of the soul, the service of the soul. And what is the service of the soul? The service of the soul is to reconnect it back to God, to reconnect it back to happiness, and to create the love and devotion. And the love and devotion will make from a person into a hero. Love and devotion will change a person into a hero, because love and devotion will erase from the heart all fears. Love and devotion drenches us in love, and to be drenched in love, all our fear goes away from our heart. And then we are dwelling in love, and we are happy. And who is the weakest person on this earth? The weakest people on this earth are those who are busy all the time, satisfying the desires that are fleeting. The weakest people on this earth are those who are really trying to satisfy their desires. That's why the saints say, just like the seed resides in a tree, just like the tree resides in a seed, all disease, whether it is physical or mental, resides in our desires. Burn up the desires, Saint Kabir says. Burn up the desires and be detached. And in this way, you can float on the ocean of bliss. That really, this is the knowing this, to know this, to live by this sentence, that all disease, whether it is physical or mental, resides in our desires. Why? Because the desires keep us away from God. Worldly desires, as the saints say, keep us away from God. And if we try to satisfy them and get the pleasure, what happens? Then we are creating havoc for our inner self. And that havoc that a person could create in his own self can be a misery for ages and ages. Can be misery for ages and ages. So yes, to really know the truth, that really all desires have to be burned up, and all attachments have to become detachments. If this happens to us, then oh wow, we will be floating on the ocean of bliss. The Saint Kabir says that in his hymns, that the most important thing is to realize that desires are really the veil that hold us from God. And when we are held from God by a veil, then we are a sick person. Because we are meant to be happy. We are meant to float on the ocean of love. We are meant to dance in God every moment. Every moment we are meant to be in ecstasy, to be drunk on God and lost in love. Every moment. That's what God designed us to be. And when we have worldly desires, which create an obstruction from that life, and what is the obstruction from God? Not to be in touch with the ocean of love, not to be in the ocean of love, that is still the soul is sick. Still, the soul needs the time factor. Still, the soul is in the hospital of God, in the hospital of God. And when we are still in the hospital, we are still suffering. When we have not, when we're still walking in the desert, even if we are few yards away from the oasis, we are still suffering. As long as there is a veil between us and God in the form of attachments and desires, then we are suffering. And the saints and masters tell us, they plead to us, please, 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 burn up all your desires. Burn up all your desires. Some of those desires we had for more than a life. And they're really dangerous. And they could take us the other way. They could take us. Why? Because they are animal desires. Animal desires. So by concentrating on our godly attributes, by concentrating on our love, by concentrating on the Master, and putting all our desires in a bag and handing it to Master. And every day I do that. Every day I check myself. I look inside myself. I introspect myself. And I see what's holding me from the ocean of pure love. I put it in a bag and I hand it to my Master. I hand it to my Master and I say, I am so weak. I am nothing and you are everything. I hand my weakness to you. When we hand our weakness to Master, our weakness will turn into strength. This is a secret, to put all our weakness in a bag and hand it to the Master of creation. That weakness will turn into bravery. That weakness will turn into strength. Strength abides in knowing our lackness, in knowing what's lacking inside of us and handing it to Master. That is the start of bravery. That is the start of the greatest strength that we could have, is to introspect ourselves on daily basis, just like we meditate on daily basis. Before we meditate, or any time a desire comes up, and we know, our soul knows what's true and what's not. Our soul knows truth from the illusion. When an illusion comes in our mind, and that illusion tries to cover the reality, reality knows. And then, when reality knows, then we should act upon that, and we should hand it to Master. We should hand that veil that comes up in the form of a desire inside of us. We should take that veil and hand it to Master. Beg the inner Master, please take away everything that takes me away from you. Liberate my soul. Liberate my soul and join me with you. حررني من عبودياتي وارفعني إلى فوق. My master Sant Singh used to sing that song. حررني من in Arabic. He sang it in Arabic when he went to Tunisia. And liberate me, oh my master. Liberate me from everything that I worship in this world. And raise my soul up to God. Raise my soul up to God and liberate me. Liberate me and liberate me. It's a constant prayer. It's a constant prayer that the lover has for the beloved. The lover wants to meet the beloved. The beloved wants to meet the lover. And there is the wall. The wall has to be knocked down. The wall of desires and the wall of attachments has to be knocked down. And from both sides, the effort is done. From both sides. We go towards God one step, He comes towards us a million steps. A million steps He comes towards us. And all what we have to do is go one step. So by realizing the wall between us and the Lord, by realizing that wall, by seeing the wall, by knowing what holds us from God, then our yearning, our seeking, our love, and our devotion, our faith, and our longing to be one, our urge to merge with the Lord will burn off that wall. It will burn off that wall, and God, from the other side, inside of us, also wants to merge us into Himself and wants us to become one and wants us to walk in this world as God women and God men. He wants us to be liberated. He wants us to see with no eyes, to walk with no feet, to touch with no hands, to speak with no tongue, and to hear with no ears. He wants us to be free. He wants us to be with Him. So the wall has to go. The wall has to go. And the most important thing that a lover should always do all the time, keep asking, keep asking. Just like the student in the school knows the tools to elevate him, knows the tools that when he graduates will give him high positions in the world. Also the lover of God has to always keep seeking. And this seeking is always asking, who am I? Who am I? Where did I come from? And where am I going? And why? And how? Why? How? Who am I? Who am I? Why did I come here? And where did I come from? And how can I go back to where I came from? This is also the job of the seeker of the highest truth, to keep yearning. And to keep yearning is to keep asking, who am I? I want to know myself. I want to know God. I want to know from where I came and where I'm going to go after. I want to know why and how. And seek and you shall find. And knock and the door shall open. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door shall open. That this is also a secret that all the lovers of God, all of us should do every day. Keep yearning. Keep yearning for the highest. Keep yearning for totality and nothing less. Nothing less than totality. If we are not total, even if we have just realized ourselves as soul, and our soul is in the Par Brahm, that's not enough. That is not enough, because then there's still the suffering of the soul, the suffering of duality, that the soul has not merged in the ocean yet. It has realized itself, but it has not merged in the ocean. And then for that, we keep asking, we keep yearning. Where did we come from? Let's go back to our source, totality of consciousness, totality of consciousness. Then we can become like Ishwar. Then we will always be happy. We will always be floating on the ocean of love, on the ocean of bliss, on the ocean of ecstasy that all the saints, Rumi, Hafiz, Shams, have floated on. They removed the wall. For he who overcomes, I shall give powers to rule all of the nations, in the Bible it says. And Rumi, Hafiz, Shams, Baba Sawan sing, they have removed the wall. They have burned their desires. They have evaporated their desires with the grace of the Master. Love and devotion evaporates all desires, sublimates all desires, and cuts all attachments. When the soul is free from all these, wall is removed, the floodgates of love opens up, the ocean pours into the drop, and the drop becomes the ocean. Oneness is attained, the purpose of life is done, and we become divine human graduates. Divine human graduates. And never ever should we be sad, because after the night, the sun will come up. After the night, the sun comes up. The saints and masters say, never, never, and never feel desperate, especially on the spiritual path. Never ever feel desperate. We might go through phases of darkness. We might go through phases of doubt where we doubt the master. These are necessary on the path. We even might go in a phase where we ditch the master totally. All these phases that the soul goes through after initiation will make it stronger, will make it stronger. If we ever ditch the master and put our attention away from the master, what happens? Then suffering comes in our way because we have to pay our karma and our karmas are not mitigated. And then when we suffer, or sometimes a calamity happens, and then we doubt it, we doubt the master. Why did he allow that to happen to me? And then we might leave the path. Then by leaving the path, we will suffer more. Then we might come back. We will come back for sure. We will come back. We will try again. Doubt might be created. All these things, whether it's doubt or whether it is leaving the path for a while, all these things will make the soul eventually much more stronger when it comes back. And by regular practice, doubt is always removed. By regular practice, faith and trust is grown because we start to experience inside of us the glory that is within. We start to see with the inner eye and hear with the inner ear. We see the suns and the moons and the stars. We see the inner master and whatever he graces us with. And the most important thing is feeling the love and experiencing the love. And the love comes right in an instant, beyond time and space. Love is beyond time and space. And sometimes, by the grace of the master, we will be sitting in meditation and boom, a feeling of love. A feeling of love that is worth everything. It is worth all inner experiences of seeing things. A feeling of love. Because that feeling of love is coming right from the master. It's coming right from our inner master. A wave of love that hits us. And when that wave of love hits us, we get refreshed. We get so refreshed by a wave of love. And when we are refreshed by a wave of love, then everything in our life becomes harmonious. And we walk in this world knowing that we are holding the hand of love. And love keeps sending one wave after the other wave after the other wave. The ocean doesn't cease sending its waves. One wave after the other wave after the other wave. All what we have to do is be in the ocean and get those waves. To be in the ocean is to be connected with the Shabd. As the Shabd is coming from the ocean, the Shabd is part of the ocean, and the Shabd is the love, the ocean of love. And the ocean of love keeps sending its love in the form of waves. And we sit, we close our eyes, we connect with Ishwarji, with Santakar inside of us, and the wave of love will hit us. A wave of love will hit us. Those waves of love become stronger and stronger and stronger as the wall becomes shorter and shorter and shorter. The wall between us and God, as it becomes shorter and shorter and shorter, the waves of love become stronger and stronger and stronger until they will sweep us into the ocean. A big wave will come, a tsunami of love will come and will just take us, sweep us into the middle of the ocean of love. That wave, that tsunami wave that we're all waiting for, that tsunami wave of love that will break our wall of separation and sweep us into the ocean of love. We are all waiting for that. tsunami wave of love. The mother of all waves. As they say, the mother of all wars, the mother of all waves of love will be a tsunami coming from our deepest self, from the Master. A tsunami that will sweep us into that ocean of love, and we will be drenched from head to toe in that ocean. We will never leave that ocean, and we will be always in the bliss, always in the ecstasy, fearless and eternally happy. This is what the saints and masters say. The saints and masters say, keep focusing on the wound, because from that wound, the light will come. And the light and that wound that caused the pain will become the cure, and it will cure us. It will cure us from all that holds us from God. A healthy person is not just healthy on the physical level, but the soul has to be healthy. The most important thing is the soul has to be healthy. And this healthy soul is not controlled by the mind. A healthy soul controls the mind. A healthy soul is not a slave to the mind. A healthy soul commands the mind what to do at every second. In that way, the mind just becomes a tool like it was originally made to just serve the human being to become God, becomes a servant. When the mind becomes a servant, it's the best tool that we can use to increase our love and devotion, to increase our meditation time, and to keep yearning for that tsunami wave of love that will sweep us off our legs into that ocean. How beautiful it is when love is totally unleashed. When we let go of the leash and let love flow and be spiritual. And to be spiritual is to be a nice person and to be in love always. When we let go of the leash, how happy. There's nothing that can describe the happiness of a person that got rid of his envy. Imagine what the saints say. No one is happier than the person who got rid of that companion that was always with him called envy. He who gets rid of his envy is one of the happiest people on earth. That's what the saints say. Get rid of your envy. Don't envy anyone. See God in that person. What happens when we get rid of envy? Then envy becomes an inspiration. We will never envy anyone, but we will be inspired from that person. Inspired. If they are higher than us spiritually, and we get rid of envy, then we are get inspired. We will get inspired. Then God in that person that we used to envy will help us become like that person. Why? Because we don't have any ill feelings towards that person. We are sending seeds of love. If we have envy, then we are putting seeds that are poisonous, that will grow into poisonous trees. But when we admire that person and we are inspired by that person, then God in that person will make us like that person. Envy is changed into admiration. Envy is changed then into inspiration. And that's why God sends our ways so many characters in our show that are more spiritually developed than us, or they seem that they are more spiritually developed than us, and he sent them So we can be inspired, not envious, inspired. And when we are inspired, then we grow spiritually. And God always sends people towards us who will wake us up because we have thought that we are awake. Sometimes we think we are awake, and God will send someone to wake us up, to tell us, no, you were not awake. You were still sleeping. You thought you were awake, but you are still sleeping. So from time to time, God sends awoken people. And those awakened people, they awake us. They awake us. And then we are very grateful that we have woken. As we are in one dream after another dream, after another dream, after another dream. And Master keeps sending people, either himself or people from him, that keeps awakening us from one level of reality to another level of reality to another level of reality. How beautiful that is, to meet someone who can awake us. That's something very beautiful. The saints and masters say, when you meet a true person who awakens you, never let him from the horizon of your sight. Never let that person from the horizon of your sight. When we meet somebody true, somebody total, we should never let them away of the horizon of our soul. Imagine how beautiful that is, and that is the truth. If we meet someone awakened fully, to the highest degree, somebody like Hafiz, somebody like Shams, somebody like Rumi, somebody like Ishwar, then we should never let them off our horizon. We should keep them in our horizon. Always focus on them. That will make us like them. We will grow in their love, and their love is the reflection of the love of God. And the love of God in them is the reflection of our inner love. How beautiful it is to meet a person who is a mirror to ourselves, who we can see the truth of ourselves in that person. How beautiful it is and how lucky. Really, when we meet a person like that, with that we can see ourselves in that person, we have won the spiritual lottery. We have won the spiritual lottery. When we meet a person who is true, a person who is true, that we can see our own self in that person becomes a mirror to our own self. And then when he becomes a mirror to our own self, then we can see the truth of our own self. We can see the truth of what we have to change in the mirror of his heart, in the mirror of the heart of the total one. We can look at ourselves, see what has to be changed, change what has to be changed, and then look into that mirror again and see the beloved in our eyes, and look at the eyes of the beloved and see the beloved in their eyes. That means after the mirror is polished of our soul, and we look into that mirror and we see the beloved in the mirror, in that mirror, we see the beloved, and the beloved sees us, and then there is no separation, there is just union. That we look in the mirror and we see the Lord. We look at ourselves and we see the Master. And we look at the Master and we see ourselves. How great is that level of achievement? When the wall is removed, the mirror is polished, and in the mirror of the heart of the Master, we look into that mirror and we see ourselves. That is the utmost level of oneness, is that when we look at the Master and in his eyes we see ourselves. That is the beautiful thing. That stage of spiritual development is called Ana al-Haq, I am the truth. Me and my Father in the heavens are one. Oneness have been achieved. What a victorious thing for oneness to be achieved. Oneness to be achieved is a great victory, is a great victory. and then back to the kingdom of God, taking the torch of light with us. We will come back to our original self, to God and the kingdom of God, carrying the torch of light, victorious, dancing and dancing and dancing in front of Baba Sawan Singh, in front of Sant Thakur Singh, in front of Sant Kirpal Singh, in front of all the perfect ones, in front of Sant Ajayib Singh and all the perfect masters. We will be dancing the dance of victory. And what is the dance of victory? Return to innocence, the regaining of our lost divinity, and finding our true self as God and the kingdom of God in this world. God and the kingdom of God. How beautiful that is. This is what I wanted to say for today in Seva. And now it is our dear sister Tina, and I'm looking forward to listen to our dear sister Tina.
Hi, my beautiful holy family. With the blessings of our beloved Ishwarji and Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj, I will continue the seva of Asa Ki War. As always, my sources of Asa Ki War are Dr. T.S. Shingari, RSSB, asakiwarsikhiviki.org, and Asa Ki War Sri Penny Sahib. Before I start the recitation of Asa Ki War, I will recite the Mool Mantra. After that, I will recite the Pori and the Shalok from Asa Ki War with their interpretation in Punjabi and then their translation in English. And now, the Mool Mantra. Ik Onkar Sat Nam Karta Purakh Nirpau Nirvair Akal Murat Ajuni Sahibhang Gur Prasad Jap Ad Sach Jugad Sach Hai Bhi Sach Nanak Hosi Bhi Sach. And now the Shlok. Shlok ਅਤੇ ਪੌੜੀ 18ਵੀਂ ਸ਼ਲੋਕ ਮਹਲਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਜੇਕਰ ਸੂਤਕ ਮੰਨੀਏ ਸਪਤੇ ਸੂਤਕ ਹੋਏ ਗੋਹੇ ਅਤੇ ਲੱਕੜੀ ਅੰਦਰ ਕੀੜਾ ਹੋਏ ਜੇਤੇ ਦਾਣੇ ਅੰਨ ਕੇ ਜੀਆ ਬਾਝ ਨਾ ਕੋਏ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਪਾਣੀ ਜਿਉ ਕੇ ਜਿਤ ਹਰਿਆ ਸਭ ਕੋਏ ਸੂਤਕ ਕਿਉ ਕਰ ਰਖੀਏ ਸੂਤਕ ਪਵੇ ਰਸੋਈ ਨਾਨਕ ਸੂਤਕ ਏਵ ਨ ਉਤਰੇ ਗਿਆਨ ਉਤਰੇ ਤੋਈ. And now the earth in Punjabi. Guru Sahib ਦਲੀਲ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ ਜੇ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਦੇਰ ਲਈ ਇਹ ਮੰਨ ਲਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ ਕਿ ਜਨਮ ਲੈਣ ਸਮੇਂ ਅਤੇ ਮੌਤ ਸਮੇਂ ਸੂਤਕ ਪਾ ਜਾਣਾ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਸਵਾਲ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਸੂਤਕ ਤੋਂ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਬਚਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਭ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਸੂਤਕ ਨਾਲ ਭਰੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਹਨ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਅਜਿਹੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੂਤਕ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਰਸੋਈ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਗੋਹੇ ਦੀਆਂ ਪਾਥੀਆਂ ਅਤੇ ਲੱਕੜਾਂ ਬਾਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀੜੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ ਉਹ ਕੀੜੇ ਗੋਹੇ ਅਤੇ ਲੱਕੜੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੰਮਦੇ ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਮਰਦੇ ਹਨ ਫਿਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਨਾਜ ਰਸੋਈ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਰਤਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਦਾਣੇ ਦਾਣੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੀਵ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ ਪਾਣੀ ਵੀ ਜੀਵਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਭਰਪੂਰ ਹੈ ਪਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਜੀਵ ਪਾਣੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਜੰਮਦੇ ਮਰਦੇ ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਸਾਰੀ ਬਨਸਪਤੀ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਾਕੀ ਸਭ ਜੀਵਾਂ ਦਾ ਜੀਵਨ ਵੀ ਪਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਆਸਰੇ ਹੀ ਕਮਾਇਆ ਹੈ ਜਦ ਰਸੋਈ ਦਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਸਮਾਨ ਹੀ ਅਜਿਹਾ ਜੀਵਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਭਰਪੂਰ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਸਦਾ ਜੰਮਦੇ ਮਰਦੇ ਹਨ ਤਾਂ ਸੂਤਕ ਤੋਂ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਬਚਿਆ ਜਾਏ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਲੋਕ ਸੂਤਕ ਉਤਾਰਨ ਲਈ ਇਸ਼ਨਾਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਧੋਂਦੇ ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਕਈ ਉਪਾਅ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ ਕਿ ਅਜਿਹੀਆਂ ਭਰਮ ਭਰੀਆਂ ਵਿਧੀਆਂ ਦੁਆਰਾ ਸੂਤਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਤਰ ਸਕਦਾ। ਹਰ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਸੂਤਕ ਨੂੰ ਸਿਰਫ ਗਿਆਨ ਹੀ ਧੋ ਕੇ ਸਾਫ਼ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ। And now the translation in English. If one accepts the concept of impurity, then there is impurity everywhere. In cow dung and wood, there are worms. As many as are there the grains of corn, none is without life. First, there is life in the water, by which everything else is made green. How can it be protected from impurity? It touches our own kitchen. O Nanak, impurity cannot be removed in this way. It is washed away by spiritual wisdom. महला पहला। मन का सूतक लोभ है, जीवा सूतक कूड़, अखी सूतक वेखना, पर त्रिया पर धन रूप, कन्नी सूतक कन पै, लाए तबारी खाए, नानक हंसा आदमी, बदे जन्म पुर जाए। सरल अर्थ। ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਸ਼ਲੋਕ ਵਾਲੇ ਭਾਵ ਦਾ ਵਿਸਤਾਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ, ਪਲ ਭਰ ਲਈ ਮੰਨ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਇਸ਼ਨਾਨ ਕਰਨ ਅਤੇ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਧੋਣ ਨਾਲ ਸੂਤਕ ਦੂਰ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇਗਾ, ਪਰ ਇਸ ਨਾਲ ਮਨ ਦਾ ਸੂਤਕ ਤਾਂ ਦੂਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ। ਮਨ ਲੋਭ ਦੁਆਰਾ ਭਟਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਜੀਭ ਝੂਠ ਬੋਲਣ ਦੇ ਸੂਤਕ ਨਾਲ ਗੰਦੀ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੀ ਹੈ। ਅੱਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਰਾਈ ਇਸਤਰੀ ਦਾ ਰੂਪ ਕਾਮਨਾ ਭਰੀ ਦ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਟੀ ਨਾਲ ਅਤੇ ਪਰਾਏ ਧਨ ਨੂੰ ਲੋਭ ਭਰੀ ਦ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਟੀ ਨਾਲ ਦੇਖਣ ਦਾ ਸੂਤਕ ਲੱਗ ਗਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ। ਜਦ ਦੂਜਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਨਿੰਦਿਆ ਚੁਗਲੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਜਾਂ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਕੰਨ ਪਿੱਟੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ। ਬੇਸ਼ੱਕ ਸੂਤਕ ਦੂਰ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਸਰੀਰ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਫ਼ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਜਲਾ ਜਾਂ ਨਿਰਮਲ ਕਰ ਲਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ, ਪਰ ਮਨ ਪਾਪਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੰਦਾ ਹੋਣ ਕਾਰਨ ਜੀਵ ਨੂੰ ਮੌਤ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਬਨ ਕੇ ਜਮਪੁਰੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੈ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ। The impurity of the mind is greed, and the impurity of the tongue is falsehood. The impurity of the eyes is to gaze upon the beauty of another man's wife and his wealth. The impurity of the ears is to listen to the slander of others. O Nanak, the mortal's soul goes beyond, bound and gagged to the city of death. महला पहला। सबो सूतक परम है, दूजे लागे जाए, जन्म मरण हुक्म है, पाणे आवे जाए, खाना पीना पवित्र है, देतों रुजक संबाहे, नानक जिन्नी गुरमुख बुझिया, त्रिन सूतक नाहे। Meaning in Punjabi, ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸਰੀਰ ਅਤੇ ਮਨ ਦੋਹਾਂ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਸੂਤਕ ਦਾ ਵਰਣਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਿਚਾਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੂਰਨਤਾ ਪ੍ਰਦਾਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ, ਇਹ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕਿ ਜਨਮ ਦੇਣ ਵਾਲੇ, ਜਨਮ ਲੈਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਜਾਂ ਮੁਰਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਛੂ ਜਾਣ ਨਾਲ ਪਿੱਠ ਚੜ੍ਹ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ, ਨਿਰਾ ਭਰਮ ਹੈ। ਸਿਰਫ ਦਵੈਤ ਜਾਂ ਅਗਿਆਨਤਾ ਦੇ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਰ ਲੋਕ ਹੀ ਇਸ ਭਰਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੈਂਦੇ ਹਨ। ਸੰਸਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਨਮ ਮਰਨ ਦਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਸਿਲਸਿਲਾ ਕੁੱਲ ਮਾਲਕ ਦੇ ਹੁਕਮ ਨਾਲ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਆਉਣਾ ਜਾਣਾ ਦੀ ਸਾਰੀ ਖੇਡ ਕੁੱਲ ਮਾਲਕ ਦੀ ਰਜ਼ਾ ਅਨੁਸਾਰ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਖਾਣ ਪੀਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੂਤਕ ਮੰਨਣਾ ਭਰਮ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਵਰ ਦੇ ਖੁਦ ਖਾਦ ਪਦਾਰਥਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜੀਵ ਦਾ ਰਿਜ਼ਕ ਜਾਂ ਭੋਜਨ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਹੈ। ਜੋ ਲੋਕ ਗੁਰਮੁਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਉਪਦੇਸ਼ ਅਨੁਸਾਰ ਉਸ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਵਰ ਅਤੇ ਉਸ ਦੀ ਖੇਡ ਦਾ ਰਹੱਸ ਸਮਝ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਨ, ਉਹ ਹਰ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਸੂਤਕ ਤੋਂ ਸਦਾ ਲਈ ਮੁਕਤ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ। And now, the meaning in English. The impurity of the mind is greed, and the impurity of the tongue is falsehood. All impurities come from doubt and attachment to the duality. Birth and death are subject to the command of the Lord's will. Through his will we come and go. Eating and drinking are pure, since the Lord gives nourishment to all. O Nanak, the Gurmukh who understand the Lord are not stained by the impurity. ਪੌੜੀ। ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਵੱਡਾ ਕਰ ਸਲਾਹੀਏ, ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਡਿਆਈਆ, ਸਹਿ ਮੇਲੇ ਤਾਂ ਨਦਰੀ ਆਇਆ, ਜਾ ਤਿਸ ਭਾਣਾ ਮਨ ਵਸਾਇਆ। ਕਰ ਹੁਕਮ ਮਸਤਕ ਹੱਥ ਧਰ, ਵਿਚੇ ਮਰ ਕੱਢਿਆ ਬੁਰਾਈਆਂ, ਸਹਿ ਤੁਠੇ ਨਾਉ ਨਿਧ ਪਾਇਆ। The earth in Punjabi. ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਸ਼ਲੋਕ ਦਾ ਅੰਤ ਇਸ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਨਾਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਲੋਕ ਸਤਿਗੁਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਦਇਆ ਨਾਲ ਨਾਮ ਜਾਂ ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਵਰ ਰੂਪੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਰੀਰਕ, ਮਾਨਸਿਕ ਅਤੇ ਆਤਮਿਕ ਸਭ ਸੂਤਕ ਸਦਾ ਲਈ ਧੋਤੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ। ਇਸ ਪੌੜੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ, ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਨੂੰ ਵੱਡਾ ਮੰਨ ਕੇ ਸਲਾਹੁਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀਆਂ ਵਡਿਆਈਆਂ ਜਾਂ ਸਿਫਤਾਂ ਹਨ। ਜਦ ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਵਰ ਰੂਪੀ ਕੰਤ ਨੇ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਨਾਲ ਮਿਲਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਤਾਂ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਦੀਆਂ ਵੱਡੀਆਂ ਵਡਿਆਈਆਂ ਪ੍ਰਤੱਖ ਦਿਖਾਈ ਦੇਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਈਆਂ। ਕੁਲ ਮਾਲਕ ਦਾ ਭਾਣਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਤਾਂ ਨਾ ਸਿਰਫ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਦੀਆਂ ਵਡਿਆਈਆਂ ਸਾਫ਼ ਦਿਖਾਈ ਦੇਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਈਆਂ, ਸਗੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਦਇਆ ਕਰਕੇ ਇਹ ਮਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਵਸਾ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ। ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਨੇ ਦਇਆ ਕਰਕੇ ਮੱਥੇ 'ਤੇ ਹੱਥ ਧਰਿਆ ਅਤੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਵਸ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਬੁਰਾਈਆਂ ਮਾਰ ਕੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਕੱਢ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ। ਪ੍ਰਭੂ ਨੇ ਪ੍ਰਸੰਨ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਦਇਆ ਕੀਤੀ ਤਾਂ 9 ਨਿਧਾਂ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਹੋ ਗਈਆਂ। And now the meaning in English. Praise the great true Guru. Within him is the greatest greatness. When the Lord causes us to meet the Guru, then we come to see them. When it pleases him, they come to dwell in our minds. By his command, when he places his hand on our foreheads, wickedness departs from within. When the Lord is thoroughly pleased, the 9 treasures are obtained. ਸਲੋਕ ਅਤੇ ਪੌੜੀ 19। ਸਲੋਕ ਮਹਲਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ। ਪਹਿਲਾ ਸੱਚ ਸੱਚਾ ਆਪ ਹੋਏ, ਸੁੱਚੇ ਬੈਠਾ ਆਏ, ਸੁੱਚੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਰੱਖਿਓ ਕੋਈ ਨ ਪਟਿਆ ਜਾਏ। ਸੁੱਚਾ ਹੋਏ ਕੇ ਜੀਵਿਆ ਲੱਗਾ ਪੜਿਆ ਸਲੋਕ, ਕਹਤੀ ਜਾਏ ਸਟਿਆ ਕਿਸ ਲੇਹਾ ਲੱਗਾ ਦੋਖ। ਅੰਨ ਦੇਵਤਾ ਪਾਣੀ ਦੇਵਤਾ ਬੈਸੰਤਰ ਦੇਵਤਾ ਲੋਣ ਪੰਜਾਵਣ ਪਾਇਆ ਕਿਰਤ, ਤਾ ਹੋਏ ਪਾਕ ਪਵਿੱਤ ਪਾਪੀ ਸਿਓ ਤਿਨ ਗੱਡਿਆ ਥੁੱਕਾ ਪਾਇਆ ਤਿਤ। ਜਿਤ ਮੁਖ ਨਾਮ ਨਾ ਉਚਾਰਿਆ ਬਿਨ ਨਾਵੇ ਰਸ ਖਾਏ, ਨਾਨਕ ਏਵੇ ਜਾਣੀਏ ਤਿਤ ਮਤ ਥੁਕ ਪਾਹੇ। And now the meaning in Punjabi. ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸਮਾਜ ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰਚਲਿਤ ਬਾਹਰਮੁਖੀ ਸੱਚਮਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਭਰਮ ਉੱਤੇ ਪ੍ਰਕਾਸ਼ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ, ਸਰੀਰਕ ਸੁਚਮਤਾ ਦਾ ਅਭਿਮਾਨ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਲੇ ਕੋਈ ਕਰਮ ਕਾਂਡ ਬ੍ਰਾਹਮਣ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਆਪ ਇਸ਼ਨਾਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਸੁੱਚਾ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਸੁੱਚੇ ਕੀਤੇ ਹੋਏ ਚੌਂਕੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਬੈਠ ਗਿਆ। ਫਿਰ ਨਹਾ ਧੋ ਕੇ ਸੁੱਚੇ ਹੋਏ ਰਸੋਈਏ ਨੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਉਹ ਭੋਜਨ ਪਰੋਸ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਜੋ ਪੂਰੀ ਸੁਚਮਤਾ ਨਾਲ ਤਿਆਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ। ਬ੍ਰਾਹਮਣ ਸੁੱਚੇ ਸ਼ਲੋਕਾਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਉਹ ਭੋਜਨ ਖਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਇੰਨੀ ਸੁਚਮਤਾ ਨਾਲ ਤਿਆਰ ਕੀਤੇ ਅਤੇ ਖਾਧੇ ਅੰਨ ਦਾ ਅੰਤ ਉਹੀ ਹੋਇਆ ਜੋ ਦੂਜਿਆਂ ਦੁਆਰਾ ਖਾਧੇ ਅੰਨ ਦਾ ਭੋਜਨ ਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਉਹ ਭੋਜਨ ਵਿਸ਼ਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਦਲ ਗਿਆ ਅਤੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਮੈਲੇ ਥਾਂ ਉੱਤੇ ਸੁੱਟਿਆ ਗਿਆ। ਭੋਜਨ ਦੇ ਵਿਸ਼ਟਾ ਦਾ ਰੂਪ ਧਾਰ ਲੈਣ ਦਾ ਦੋਸ਼ ਕਿਸ ਤੇ ਸਿਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਜਾਵੇ। ਪ੍ਰਚਲਿਤ ਮਾਨਤਾ ਅਨੁਸਾਰ ਅੰਨ ਵੀ ਦੇਵਤਾ ਜੀ, ਪਾਣੀ ਵੀ ਦੇਵਤਾ ਸੀ, ਅਗਨੀ ਵੀ ਦੇਵਤਾ ਸੀ, ਲੂਣ ਵੀ ਦੇਵਤਾ ਸੀ ਅਤੇ ਪੰਜਵਾਂ ਦੇਵਤਾ ਘਿਓ ਸੀ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਂ ਪਵਿੱਤਰ ਪਦਾਰਥਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਬਣਿਆ ਭੋਜਨ ਵੀ ਪਵਿੱਤਰ ਸੀ। ਇਸ ਭੋਜਨ ਨੂੰ ਖਾਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਦਾ ਸਰੀਰ ਪਾਪਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਭਰਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ, ਇਸ ਕਾਰਨ ਉਹ ਭੋਜਨ ਅਪਵਿੱਤਰ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ। ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸਾਵਧਾਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੂੰਹ ਨਾਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਪਦਾ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਨਾਮ ਦੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਤੋਂ ਖਾਲੀ ਹੈ, ਉਸ ਦੇ ਮੂੰਹ ਉੱਤੇ ਵੀ ਥੁੱਕਾਂ ਪੈਂਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ। And now the meaning in English. First purifying himself, the Brahmin comes and sits in his purified enclosure. The pure foods which no one else has touched are placed before him. Being purified, he takes his food and begins to read his sacred verses. But it is then thrown into a filthy place. Whose fault is this? The corn is sacred, the water is sacred, the fire and salt are sacred as well. When the fifth thing, the ghee is added, then the food becomes pure and sanctified. Coming into contact with a sinful human body, the food becomes so impure that it is spat upon. The mouth which does not chant the Naam and without the name eats tasty foods, O Nanak, know this, such a mouth is to be spat upon. Mahalla Pehla. ਪਿੰਡ ਜੰਮਿਆ ਪਿੰਡ ਨਿਮਿਆ ਪਿੰਡ ਮੁਰਗਣ ਵਿਆਏ, ਪਿੰਡੋ ਹੋਵੇ ਦੋਸਤੀ ਪਿੰਡੋ ਚਲੇ ਰਾਹੇ, ਪੰਡ ਮੁਆ ਪੰਡ ਪਾਇਆ ਪੰਡ ਹੋਵੇ ਬੰਧਾਨ, ਸੋ ਕਿਉ ਮੰਦਾ ਆਖੀਏ ਜਿਤ ਜਮੇ ਰਾਜਾਨ, ਪੰਡੇ ਹੀ ਪੰਡ ਉਪਜੇ ਪਾਂਡੇ ਬਾਝ ਨ ਕੋਏ, ਨਾਨਕ ਪਾਂਡੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਏਕੋ ਸੱਚਾ ਸੋਏ, ਜਿਤ ਮੁਖ ਸਦਾ ਸਲਾਹੀਏ ਭਾਗਾ ਰਤ ਚਾਰ, ਨਾਨਕ ਤੇ ਮੁਖ ਉਜਲੇ ਤਿਤ ਸਚਰੇ ਦਰਬਾਰ। ਅਰਥ ਇਨ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ। ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ, ਮਨੁੱਖ ਇਸਤਰੀ ਦੇ ਕੁੱਖੋਂ ਹੀ ਜਨਮ ਲੈਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਇਸਤਰੀ ਦੀ ਹੀ ਉਸ ਦੀ ਪਾਲਣਾ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਉਹਦਾ ਇਸਤਰੀ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਮੰਗਣਾ ਅਤੇ ਵਿਆਹ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਸਤਰੀ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਮਿੱਤਰਤਾ ਜਾਂ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਸਤਰੀ ਤੋਂ ਭਾਈਚਾਰੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਵੱਧਦਾ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਸੱਭਿਅਤਾ ਅੱਗੇ ਵੱਧਦੀ ਹੈ। ਪਹਿਲੀ ਪਤਨੀ ਮਰ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਦੂਜੀ ਦੀ ਤਲਾਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਇਸਤਰੀ ਤੋਂ ਬੱਚੇ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਇਸਤਰੀ ਦੁਆਰਾ ਹੀ ਗ੍ਰਹਿਸਥ ਜੀਵਨ ਅਤੇ ਸਮਾਜ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰਬੰਧ ਅੱਗੇ ਤੁਰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਜਿਸ ਇਸਤਰੀ ਦੀ ਕੁੱਖੋਂ ਰਾਜੇ ਮਹਾਰਾਜੇ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ, ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਮੰਦਾ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ। ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਆਪਣੀ ਦਲੀਲ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਤੋਰਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ, ਇੱਕ ਇਸਤਰੀ ਦੂਜੀ ਇਸਤਰੀ ਨੂੰ ਜਨਮ ਦਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਉਹ ਇਸਤਰੀ ਹੋਰ ਸੰਤਾਨ ਪੈਦਾ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਇਸਤਰੀ ਤੋਂ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਜਨਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੈ ਸਕਦਾ। ਸਿਰਫ ਉਹੀ ਸੱਚਾ ਅਵਿਨਾਸ਼ੀ ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਵਰ ਹੀ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਇਸਤਰੀ ਤੋਂ ਹੋਂਦ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਇਆ ਹੈ। ਆਪ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਇਸਤਰੀ ਹੋਵੇ ਜਾਂ ਮਰਦ, ਜਿਸ ਮੂੰਹ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਵਰ ਦੀ ਸਿਫਤ ਸਲਾਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਭਗਤੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਹੀ ਭਾਗਾਂ ਉੱਚੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਉਹੀ ਉਜਲ ਮੁਖ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਸਮਾਨ ਪੂਰਵਕ ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਵਰ ਦੇ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਨ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। And now the meaning in English. Woman becomes his friend. Through woman, the future generations come. When his woman dies, he seeks another woman. To woman, he is bound. So why call her bad? From her, kings are born. From woman, a woman is born. Without woman, there could be no one at all. O Nanak, only the true Lord is without a woman. That mouth which praises the Lord continuously is blessed and beautiful. O Nanak, those faces shall be radiant in the court of the true Lord. पौड़ी सबको आखे आपना जिस नाही सोचन कढिए कीता आपो आपना आपे ही लेखा संडिए जा रहना नाही ऐत जग का काया गरीब हंडिए मंदा किसनो आखिए पढ़ अखर एहो बुझिए मूर्खे नाल ना लुझिए। अर्थ ਇਸ ਤੁਕ ਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਅਰਥ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਕੀਤੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ ਕਿ ਹਰ ਮਨੁੱਖ ਆਪਣੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਹਉਮੈ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਕੋਈ ਅਜਿਹਾ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਚੁਣ ਕੇ ਜਾਂ ਵੱਖਰਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਦਿਖਾਓ ਜੋ ਮੈਂ ਮੇਰੀ ਜਾਂ ਹਉਮੈ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੋਵੇ। ਇਸ ਦੇ ਦੂਜੇ ਅਰਥ ਇਹ ਕੀਤੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ ਕਿ ਸਭ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਉਸ ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਵਰ ਦੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੋਣ ਦਾ ਦਾਅਵਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਵਰ ਦੇ ਦੂਜਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਨੇੜੇ ਹੋਣ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਕੋਈ ਅਜਿਹਾ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਵੀ ਵੱਖ ਕਰਕੇ ਦਿਖਾਓ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਸ ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਵਰ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ। ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸਮਝਾਉਂਦੇ ਹਨ ਕਿ ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਵਰ ਦੇ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਰਮ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਹਰ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਕਰਮਾਂ ਅਨੁਸਾਰ ਫਲ ਭੋਗਣਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਹੈ। And now the translation in English. All call you their own, Lord. One who does not own you is picked up and thrown away. Everyone receives the rewards of his own actions. His account is adjusted accordingly. Since one is not destined to remain in this world anyway, why should he ruin himself in pride? Do not call anyone bad. Read these words and understand. Don't argue with fools. Thank you, my holy family, for allowing me to do this seva. I will continue this seva next week with the blessings of my family and blessings of Ishwar Ji Maharaj and Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj. Please forgive me for my mistakes and the recitations. I will continue next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sister Tina. Beautiful seva. I enjoyed it. Thank you. So now we will play our Holy Father, Ishwar.
Worm in a drain living there thinks that's the whole world. He can't think of anything outside of it. We are like that worm. We think what we are seeing here, material things outside, we have seen a lot. We have seen very little, extremely little. If one has the curiosity to see what all has been created by the creative power, there's so much more to see at every level. When people start exploring what is inside, they get so fascinated. People say, Why should we meditate? We don't want to go anywhere. We are happy where we are. Okay, stay where you are. The worm is happy in the drain. We are happy where we are. Are we any different from that? The human being is different. Human being wants to explore, know more. And that is why when we want to know more, the opportunities for us to know way much more than we can possibly think of. And just by a simple design made inside us for exploring inside, from where the source of realities is coming. So that is why, for curious people, and I am sharing this because I am a very curious person. I was curious from childhood, and I wanted to know answers to my questions, wanted to know what else is there. If we are curious, and so many of my friends are curious, I'm only telling them that if meditation does not give you what the ultimate aim is, the minor peripheral benefits that you get are amazing for a curious person. The fact that you can travel and see other galaxies of this physical universe itself is a great experience. The fact you can see there are people who are in a way human because they can think and live elsewhere is true. There are some people who can't. He can't think. They have a different type of life. But they have grown. There are people who have grown way beyond our technological advances. There are some people still way behind us. And this is all based upon our knowledge of time and space and how things have been placed on time and space for millions of years. And imagine the ability to move on that line of time and see things, what's happening a million years ago or 3 million years ahead. All this is possible. Why am I mentioning this? Not as an objective of spiritual seeking. I am mentioning this that there are so many other things that happen which themselves are very attractive. Some people say, I'm very bored by meditation. Well, at least see something. Start with something, you'll not be bored anymore, I can tell you. But if you are not willing to go even beyond closing your eyes, then naturally you will be bored. And if you'll be just closing your eyes and waiting for something to happen in the current reality, won't happen. There are some people who meditate and get frightened. I must deal with that too, because we are so used to life in this body. When the spiritual experience starts, it almost looks like we are dying. And that creates a scare. And that is why it's important to go on this spiritual program, on this business, very gradually and slowly, so that you go step by step. Some people say, I want to go immediately. As I said in the morning, ASAP, even to our true home. But I have seen a few people, my friends. I want to see at least the causal region once. More I will see later. Okay, have one vision. Are you ready for it? Yes. Vision came. Everybody is being made up over there. Building blocks, creating human beings. And the body is being made and designed for a particular destiny. They are not real, they are being made up. How could I be spending so much time loving these people when they are just made up? The shock was so great. So I have to go and get some therapy for it. I'm telling you, it is not a very good idea to go into an idea that gives you this kind of a shock, and shocks come. But if you do it gradually, very slowly, one step at a time. And great master used to say in Punjabi, darja ba darja, step by step. Go very slow, step by step, and then you get accustomed to that. When you get accustomed to one thing, then you can know the next thing, and this element of fear disappears. The suggestion I'm making is, don't be in a hurry. You don't know how long you have waited for this moment. It's not a few months or a few years. You waited several lifetimes. Sometimes you waited for so long for this thing. And when you go inside, you will also know how long you have waited. You'll be able to verify that too. So this business of discovering yourself is not a simple affair of just finding out some truth. It's an adventure. We came down to this physical universe for adventure. Now we get an adventure going back to our true home. But there is one drawback in the adventures when we try to go back. They are so good, they're so wonderful. It is like wish fulfillment at the astral plane, and that has held many people at the astral plane for a long time. If you go there and stabilize yourself in the upper part of the astral plane, you'll find many of the people you knew are still there. Why? They are enjoying themselves there. There's more to enjoy in the astral plane than in the physical world. So people get stuck there, sometimes for hundreds of years, thousands of years. They get stuck there. So this is the drawback for ultimate realization. But if you are initiated by a perfect living master, no matter how long you want to stay anywhere, the perfect living master who initiated you stays with you, and you are with him. No matter if 1,000 years are taken, he'll be there for 1,000 years. That's the relationship with a perfect living master is different from any other relationship. There's nothing to compare it, because it's a total personal friendship that never ends. It's eternal and very different from any other friendship, any other guidance that you can get. So that is why it's the greatest thing that can happen to a person. First, to be able to see a perfect living master, and secondly, to be able to get accepted by that perfect living master and get initiated. I do not know any greater event that can take place in one's life than that. I have seen so many opportunities for great adventures, nothing like this. And then, of course, if you get an opportunity to have all these experiences and then don't do anything and wait or read books, it's like getting a free ticket to go to Hawaii and spend a vacation on the Waikiki beach, and you have everything reserved. There's a suite in the pink hotel, there's a boat ready for you, and you are reading about all and not going anywhere and missing your plane ticket also. It's like that. Therefore, the whole idea of following a spiritual path is to work on it and take advantage of it. Of course, it does not mean that if you don't work on it, you won't be taken home. But you will miss some things. People love to have some experiences while we are still in the human body and have non-human higher experiences. They are possible. They are possible, and my suggestion is just a suggestion that if you get this opportunity, please take advantage, enjoy it. We are not here to suffer. Suffering is a part of being here, but we are not here for suffering. We didn't come here for suffering. We came here for adventure. We came here to see new things. We came on a roller coaster, of course, but the roller coaster was not for suffering. What makes us suffer is our absence of knowledge of our true home, and that we have left our true home, and we think this is our home. That's why we suffer. We suffer because all our attachments, all our bonds are with this world and not with our true home. If we kept our attachment to our true home, which you can develop while you're still a human being, if you can develop that, this will become a heavenly place for you. This physical world will also become heavenly, even though all the events will still be the same. You won't look at it like that. So that is why it's a very big advantage.
I remember when our eldest child was born and I became a dad for the
Welcome again to this one-day holiday celebration we are having. I hope you enjoyed the snacks that were served. I enjoyed them. They were nice, but I mixed them up with a little bit of astral snacks. I think that's a nice combination. When you take your physical food, take a little bit. We don't need too much of physical food. And if you're more hungry, add up some astral food from inside and then mix the two. How do you get the astral food? Imagine it. That's good enough. Imagine you have extra things there, and while you take one bite of the physical food, take one bite of the astral, and you'll be fine. Because we eat too much, actually. So it's a good idea to use some device. I'm just giving a device as just an excuse to feel that we can eat less and still be satisfied and happy. I was talking to you about the celebration of these holidays in the best possible way is by the way of the mystics, the way of the saints and the prophets. Today happens to be the day of enlightenment of Lord Buddha. 8th of December is the day they are celebrating around the world, the day of enlightenment of Buddha. That's an inspiring thing. So we are inspired that under a tree, sitting under a tree, Buddha was able to enlighten himself to the point where he realized that all things outside were just made up, and we are creating problems for ourselves by desires for those things and attachments to those things. He said desire and attachment is creating suffering for us. Of course, that was bad enough that he found out that there is suffering in this world because of our attachment to shadows, attachment to things that our own perceptions have created, and we are now suffering for that. But he eventually came to the conclusion that the Creator must have a purpose even to create suffering. So he said that maybe one of the purposes of life is to suffer, and through suffering to get to know this is not your place. If we don't suffer at all, then we will continuously think, oh, this is a good place, and we just keep moving from one cell of a prison to another cell of a prison and thinking we are okay. So when we get disappointed with what is happening here, when we are through a period of suffering, that's when we know that we don't belong here, that we should be somewhere where there is no suffering. And that's why Buddha came to a good conclusion, that this is a lesson in suffering, that suffering is a lesson in life, and that we should learn our lesson and move out of it and go and find what is real, which is not the creation outside, it is the Creator inside. It is the power that creates all these experiences. That's our reality, and we should find that. I think good inspiration for this day, 8th of December. So I just thought I'll mention that to you. I'll also like to mention that, as I said in the Bandara, that my master, Hazur Maharaj Baba Sawan Singh Ji, who we call Great Master, I would like to call him the greatest master. But in deference to other masters, I'm willing to call him Great Master. Okay, the Great Master paid a tribute to his master for the sake of other followers of the spiritual path by building a small dera, or a place where they could hold meetings and where they could hold satsangs, initiations, things like that. And that he named Dera Baba Jamal Singh. He named it after his master. I had said I would love to do that too, just out of respect and tribute to my own master. So I announced at the last Bandara in April that I would like to have a Dera Baba Sawan Singh. And since he says the axis of spirituality is shifting to America, I thought it's appropriate to set it up in America, the United States of America. And so we chose a place in Wisconsin, Bruce, Wisconsin. I wanted to find out how he chose the place. After all, he must have chosen the place. And I found his master had chosen the place by a very unique method. The method was, there's some followers of his were visiting that river Beas in India, and walking along the river, and they saw a madman putting his hands up and saying, "This is it." He was crazy. "This is the place. This is the place." And the master said, "This is the place." I said, "Now I have to look for a crazy guy." I found one. And we decided to walk along the river in Wisconsin, because we heard there were a lot of retreat centers going on there. And there were a lot of lakes and rivers. So we found one river. The original American Indians call it Ojibwa River, and the French who came along that Mississippi River later named it Chippewa River. So the Ojibwa River or Chippewa River there, we were walking along, then we found some spot which was looking nice, and this crazy man began to wave his hands. I said, "This is it." And that's where we are going to have Dera Baba Sawan Singh. And we are going to construct. I had mentioned in Bandara, I wish I could do it with my own hands. I wish I could put the bricks, the mud, the stones, I could put with my own hands. But I have grown old. I have just crossed 86 years of age. At this age, one doesn't do manual labor. At least I'm making an excuse, I can't do manual labor. In any case, I've never built anything. So I said I need some help. So many people said we would like to help. So we are now well underway. This morning, in a meeting of the board of directors of the Institute for the Study of Human Awareness, ISHA, that runs these programs, including this one where you are attending now, that non-profit organization to whom donations are tax-free, because as a non-profit organization, you get a certificate and you save your taxes. So that organization passed a resolution this morning creating a committee to do the fundraising and building and supervise the building of this Dera Baba Sawan Singh. I'm very happy that the board took that decision. And it's under the able chairmanship of Paul Bauer from New Mexico. Paul Bauer, who's a geologist, knows about the soils and has written scientific papers which are very impressive. So that gentleman who is here, you can meet him and get an idea, because he's chairing this committee. And then we have people like Garrett and Charlie and others who are the members of the board of this committee, and they are going to supervise and work this. So we are doing a fundraising for this because we will need funds. We may also need other help. If any technical people are available and want to donate their time for this, I'll appreciate it very much. It will be help to my project. And if there are non-technical people who just want to say we can provide some work labor for a few hours someday, that will be welcome too. It's really on the same pattern how the Dera Baba Jamal Singh was created in India, that I am thinking that a Dera Baba Sawan Singh will be created in the United States of America and will be a good rallying point for spiritual masters and maybe many masters to come in this country in the future, because I am sure there will be many perfect living masters coming down the road in this country. That's what the whole shift of the axis of spirituality is about. So I would like to know if any one of you attending this session would like to help in this project of mine. Oh, that looks like a good number of people. Thank you very much. You will be hearing about the way that this is to be done and the way you can donate your time. And if needed, if they can tell you what materials are needed, somebody wants to donate materials, they can donate those materials. Those who cannot donate time or just want to donate cash or write just a check for them, they can send a check. They are going to make arrangements on the website. So somebody who wants to donate for this project on the site, they can also do it just by PayPal or something, by pressing some buttons. and they can. This is a country with modern technology, and you can pay by pressing buttons. I don't know if you have the money or not, you can still pay, but I was surprised that credit cards were created like that you could buy things without money. And you have to buy now and pay later. But anyway, there is going to be some arrangement. I thought I'll mention to you that this committee has today been set up, and we are going to work throughout the winter. We will raise the funds. We'll draw up the drawings. Some preliminary drawings have already been drawn up. I had a look at them, and they look good to me. And there's enough place for seating many more of us than what the crowd here is. So we're expecting there may be a growth of the number of people coming to these events. So we are making provision for that. We're making good provision for a kitchen and for a dining area, and maybe provision for parking, provision for kids being taken care of, things like that. So they are working on it. This committee is a very competent committee. They are working on it. And if anybody wants more information about it, you can contact either the executive officer, Vidus, or you can contact Paul. Where is Paul? Is he here? Will you stand up, Paul, and show this chairing this committee? That's Paul Bauer. Let's applaud him for working. Very, very competent leader. He has shown his competence in a recent work he did on the decentralization of the work of this institute, so that people could arrange programs like these in different parts of the country and later on different parts of the world. They could arrange these programs and have the autonomy and the authority to do so in different parts on a decentralized basis. He did a great job in reporting that. So I'm sure that he'll do a wonderful job. And we have accompanying him a professional fundraiser who's been raising millions of dollars for other organizations. And of course, this one is a little bit different. But I think she has agreed to accept this challenge. And I'd like to introduce her, Ann Johnson, who's, here she is. Will you stand up? Ann Johnson has been raising funds for the university. And just recently, she's been promoted on a more important assignment of raising funds for the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra, which is a big organization. So I'm very happy that she has agreed to volunteer her seva and her time for fundraising for Dera Baba Sawan Singh. So I'm really glad that so many of you are joining hands with me, and this is a very good time for me. Good time to celebrate 21st of December also. That change is really coming about. This is a big spiritual change, and you will see how the spiritual seekers will be able to find the answers to their questions they have been asking for their life. And they'll find the answers now, from now onwards. So it's a real big revolution in thinking, in spiritual thinking. So I'm happy to be a part to that. And of course, I'm happy to be watching this. I'm sitting on the ringside seat of this new show, and I'll be really enjoying it. We have very little time here because of the constraints of the time when we can sit here in this hall. So I would like to ask if anybody would like to have a gift, a holiday gift from the rooftop here. It's still going to be an astral gift. It's not a physical gift. Those who want physical gift, don't raise your hands. Those who want an astral gift, raise your hands. Very good. I find there are plenty of takers here. So we are going to distribute the gifts. Now, depending upon how much work you have done on the spiritual path, the gift is proportionate to that.
Should we sing?
Oh.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ishwar.
Have I to do all these?
One breath.
I can't do it in one breath. I can't even do it in 10. I can't do it. 10. Less than 10. Okay. All right, you cut the cake, and I'll see if these people can pick up their gifts from the top of this roof. Please close your eyes, sit comfortably in your chairs. Imagine you are behind the eyes in your head. From there, look for a window on either side of the head, which is more lighted, and go out from that window to the top of this building, either from the side or directly through the ceiling, whichever way you like, and go on top, look around and see if there is a package waiting for you. Take your time, no rush.